Boy oh boy guys, just over halfway through the Super Rugby season, not long till the All Blacks are playing. I can't wait. Guys, in this video I'm going to be providing you with my All Blacks team that I think will be named based off current form in the Super Rugby competition. So, firstly, players on form. My front row, I have Tamaiti Williams, Cody Taylor and Tyrell Lomax. So from me, Tamaiti Williams, I have him in there on form. I think some people would go with Ethan de Groot over Tamaiti Williams, but again, just on form, I think Tamaiti Williams has had a particularly good season for the Crusaders in 2025. Again, the basics, I think he's done really well, scrummaged really well, his work at the set piece, the breakdown done really well, and then particularly the basics like a good hard ball carries, hitting good lines, he's making the advantage line quite well, and then also his work on defence, he's manning up in the close quarter work and defending really well. Cody Taylor, I think he's the form hooker. I just think from me, he's having a really good season for the Crusaders, particularly that leadership he brings to the Crusaders, and you can see that in the set piece there, particularly as the Crusaders line out is particularly effective. But not only that, his ball carrying, he's running good lines, making the advantage line quite well, and his work on defence, the physicality, making his tackles around the field, good work rate. I think he's my form hooker there. And then finally, Tyrell Lomax, another one I think is having a good season for the Hurricanes. Look, does the basics well, scrummaging really well, ball carrying particularly effective, making good meters, and then again his work rate around the field on defence and at the breakdown has also been quite effective. Locks, I think on form, look, Scott Barrett as captain, and number 5 I have as Fabian Holland. So yeah, some interesting thoughts on that, but I'll start with Fabian Holland. Look, I just think on form he has been phenomenal this season, and I think he's, maybe other than Scott Barrett, I think he's been head and shoulders better than all the other locks on form. From me, what I like about him with the Highlanders, like he's a big man. Stats there at 2.04 metres tall and 118 kilos. So he's a big unit. And we need that physicality against the likes of the Springboks later in the year. But not only that, you see his ball carrying is particularly brutal and savage for the Highlanders. His defence is particularly brutal and savage for the Highlanders as well, making some tough hits. And particularly his work around that breakdown is particularly effective. He's made a number of good turnovers as well with a really high work rate across the field. So I've been particularly impressed by him, and I think on form he's the starting lock for the All Blacks, as well as Scott Barrett. Again, Scott Barrett, there was talk about him in the start of the season that he didn't have the best form, but particularly him against the Hurricanes a couple of weeks ago, he had a particularly good game against them, and I just think he's getting back to what Scott Barrett does the best, doing the basics. He's a hard ball carrier, effective at the set piece, the line out, the scrummaging, and, with a high work rate, good on defence. He's doing the basics well. He's back in there as captain for the All Blacks as well. I think the loose forward trio will be quite interesting. But from me, I think they'll go with blindside Ethan Blackadder, open side flanker. I think they'll bring in Duplessis Karifi, and number 8 will be Ardie Savea. So firstly, Ethan Blackadder. Look, he's having a good season for the Crusaders, particularly high work rate. He's hitting the ball pretty hard, hitting hard lines, high work rate around the field on defence, effective at the breakdown, getting good turnovers. He's having a good season, so I think he's the form blindside flanker there. And I think it's time. I think Duplessis Karifi. Obviously, he's an uncapped All Black, but I just think on form, he's the form open side flanker. I think the All Blacks need a specialist in that position. We all know, the last few years, the All Blacks haven't been as effective at the breakdown as many other international rugby sides. So this is their chance. And Duplessis Karifi has been phenomenal at the breakdown, getting a number of really key turnovers in big games. But for me, his work at the breakdown, he just has a way of It's his instincts. He knows when to target the breakdown for a turnover and when not to. And that's why he's so effective there. But also, like, the physicality he brings with his ball carries, the physicality he brings on defence, I think he's the form open side flanker there. Adi Severe, look, he's having another blinder of a season. He's a class rugby player and he's playing really, really well for Moana Pacifica. So I think we have him at number 8 there. 9-10, I've got Cam Roigard and Damien McKenzie. So from me, Cam Roigard, I think he's, based off form, been the head and shoulders halfback in New Zealand. Particularly the patience he has, his accurate passing, but the physicality he brings on the rugby field. He can snipe. He's quite an effective runner. And also his physicality on defence. He's quite effective in the defensive elements of rugby. And then Damien McKenzie. Look, maybe arguably there's not a lot between Damien McKenzie and Beauden Barrett. Beauden Barrett, far more experienced than Damien McKenzie. For me, the key thing for Damien, though, when he was with the All Blacks last year, there was a lot of talk about his ineffective game management, being hot-headed, not making the right decisions when it was required, and not running the back line as the leader at fly half. I think he's done phenomenally well for the Chiefs. I think if you look at that Chiefs back line, he's led them so well. Particularly his passing is so much more effective than it was in 2024 with game management. He's now shifting other players into space. He's making particularly effective decisions for the Chiefs, when to kick, when to pass. His game management has been fantastic, as well as his defence has been good. So he's my form first 5-8 there, ahead of Beauden Barrett at the moment. The wings, I think we'll have Caleb Clark and Caleb Tungatau from the Highlanders. So Caleb Clark, I mean, Amdenard, it's been a tough season for him with the Blues. Particularly the Blues to date, I don't think has been able to shift the ball into space on attack anywhere near as effectively as they would have liked. But he's been good. The physicality he brings in that, particularly that close quarter attack. When he has got into space, he's been good for the Blues, and he is an experienced All Black. So I think he's starting number 11 there. And then Caleb Tungatau. Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of talk there whether or not he should be in there ahead of other wingers, but from me, it's his raw speed that gets him in there. You just look at the Six Nations with Louis Bial-Biari for the French, and I thought, his raw speed, he was definitely, if not the star winger in that Six Nations. He's not a big man, Louis Bial-Biari, but particularly just his genuine raw speed. The French got him into space. He would kick, he would make good decisions, and he carved up a lot of those Six Nations sides, Louis Bial-Biari. So that's where I look to Caleb. The raw speed he has, I'm sure he is as fast or very close to being as fast as many international wingers. And particularly if the way the game is going, if the All Blacks can shift that ball into space, get the ball to Caleb, he can carve teams up. And then finally, 12-13, I don't think they'll change much there. I think Geordie Barrett, Rieko Ioane. There was a bit of talk about Rieko Ioane maybe bringing in some other players, but I mean, let me know your thoughts on that one. It's a difficult one. I haven't seen enough from any other number 13 in New Zealand rugby to say that Rieko Ioane needs to be dropped. And the big thing I like about Rieko Ioane is his raw speed on defence. If the opposition get on the outside of Rieko Ioane, he's got that raw speed to catch them up, even those wingers, etc. So I think he's still my starting form, number 13. And then Will Jordan at the back. He's had an absolute blinder of a season. Class player, and so he's starting fullback. To the bench, I think the front row I have Asafo Aumua, Fletcher Newell, and Pasioli Tosi. So again, all these players are having good seasons. Asafo Aumua with the Hurricanes. Yeah, he's just building on from 2024. Set piece is good, scrummaging, line out work, high work rate around the field, physicality Asafo brings both, ball carrying and defense has been effective, and particularly effective at the breakdown. So he's having a good season there. Fletcher Newell, again, he's doing the basics really well for the Crusaders. Scrummaging, set piece, high work rate around the field. His ball carries is effective, so he's in there. And Pasiel Tosi, again for the Hurricanes. A big, powerful man. And again, he's just doing the basics really well. High work rate, hard ball carrier. He's having another good season. 19-20, I have Tupu Vai and Peter Lakai. So again, Tupu Vai, tough decision there, but I just think from me, I think he's the form behind Fabian Holland. Lock, he's having a good season for the Chiefs. He's doing the basics really, really well, and yeah, and that's why I have him in there. And Peter Lakai, there's other players you could select there, but again, I just think he's having a good season for the Hurricanes, doing the basics well, high work rate, hard ball carrier, and I think he's on the bench for me there. 21, 22, 23, I have Cortez Ratama, Anton Leonard-Brown, and Bowden Barrett. So from me, Cortez Ratama, I think he's the runner-up halfback in New Zealand rugby at the moment. He's having another good season for the Chiefs, doing the basics really well, passing, running, defence, etc. Anton Leonard-Brown, he's again playing well for the Chiefs. Another player doing the basics well, defence, attack, passing, game management. And finally, Bowden Barrett. Look, after his hand injury, he's coming into a bit more form, doing the basics well for the Blues. But, I mean, it's a tough call between him and Damien McKenzie. But I just think that Damien McKenzie is playing better than Bowden at the moment. So, yeah, we'll see how that ends up later on in the season of Super Rugby. But, guys, let me know your thoughts on my form All Blacks side. Always enjoy talking about the All Blacks and who should be selected and who shouldn't. And look, I can't wait for the finals not too far away in the Super Rugby comp, and then the All Blacks versus French series not too far away, guys. So let me know your thoughts on my form All Blacks side. And guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button, like, add any further comments you think about the All Blacks coming up. Cheers.